What's going on, lads and lassies? My name's Ocean, and we are back on the South Stand after yet another Sunderland Premier League win. I say yet another, the second, but 2 out of 3, 2 out of the first 3 games in the Premier League. We literally couldn't ask for much more, but this game honestly just felt like pure Barclays. It felt like an old school Premier League game. And to be honest, out of any of the games that we had out of this first batch of 3, this one is the one that I was probably most intrigued about. Brentford are such a quality team in terms of they're so organised, they're so good off the ball, they're just such an established Premier League by this at this point that I think this was going to be our most true test of what we can expect going forward in a way. Especially because although stylistically they may differ, there's a lot of teams that are of the quality of Brentford. Like that those types of teams, Brentford's make up a bulk of the league. Because let's face it, you're always going to have a task in your hand going to the top 6. But there's a lot of teams like your Brentfords, your Bournemouths, your Fulhams. A lot of those teams are the same kind of vibe in that sense, where established Premier League teams, quality, organised, all of the above. So I just thought it was going to be our best test coming up. And boy, did the boys impress. The boys impressed so much. They worked their socks off today. Anyway, there's so much to get into in this video, so let's get right into things. Before we get started though, I do just want to say thanks for all the support again that I've been receiving on the South Stand. It's been amazing getting your orders out, sending them out, and also just receiving all the reviews that we've had so far. If you've bought from us, please leave a review on the website. It's been amazing just seeing that everyone's loving their products. We've got plenty going on, like the big man's Regis Libri's shirt right here. And of course, oi, big man, what's your name? But there's plenty of more online, so go and check them out at southstandclothing.com. Let's get right. So coming into this one, the boys were coming out to yet another fantastic atmosphere at the Stadium Light. When we go into this season and you're looking at the fixtures you've got to play just to survive a Premier League season, making your home ground a fortress just has to be number one. And the way we've started this year it's been perfect. The way every single fan in that crowd has got behind people, even when we've not been ahead, even when we've not been winning, or even when we've been behind like today, the crowd haven't stopped, and it makes a massive difference. And you can see that the players, they look towards the crowd for encouragement, to get the claps, to get the crowd going. They can see that they clearly love the relationship that they're having so far with their time in Sunderland, especially considering the fact that 7 or 8 of those lads on the field have never played with us until this year, and they're already feeling that connection. So everyone in the stadium week in, week out needs to bring that, because that's what pulls you through. That's what gets you goals in extra time. Like the whole till the end thing, it started off as a bit of marketing, but now it's became part of who we are, and that just needs to stay. So first of all, the crowd, keep it up. It's been fantastic. The return to the Premier League, the atmosphere around the club, just the electricity in there, to be honest, in Sunderland when these games are on now. It's something for the whole city to look forward to, and especially when we get days like today. So let's start at the beginning, talk about the changes coming into this fixture. Northern Mukiele makes his Premier League debut after starting in the Cup against Huddersfield Town. It was obviously a cut above the rest in that game, but you would hope he was going to be, from where he's come from and the experience he's got, you would hope he was going to be. But he proved every single part of why we signed him in a game like today. He just shows his class. Like, there's a lot of good to come from him being in this field and the tackles he made. Of course, when we get into things, when we look at the actual goal that Brentford finally got allowed, because of course they did score other time and got disallowed. But when we look at the goal they scored, he could have done better. He just really wasn't positionally aware to where Thiago was. But other than that, he had a blinding first game, and it's just like the step up in defence this year for the players that we've got now. I love all the lads that we came up with. Of course, your Dennis Irkins, all of them. Trey Hume's made a fantastic step up as well. But when you look at the defence we had, even like Dan Ballard, I love Dan Ballard to bits, and if he's ever on a team lineup, I'm going to be cheering him on as well. But when you see players like Mukiele and Alderete come in at defence, you can see their European quality stepping in. You can see their Champions League experience or top flight experience coming in. The way he reads the ball and the way he just carries the ball, it's just a cut above. So I'm looking forward to seeing him a lot more in the Premier League, and to considering that's his debut I think we're in for a fantastic season with him. And then, of course, the other change to the starting lineup was Enzo Lefay in the wing. And I know there's probably a lot of people that had a bit of apprehension when it came to him starting. But if you did by any chance watch the last video, it was something that I felt we needed to do. When we played the game against Burnley last week, starting Xhaka, Diarra and Siddiqui in the midfield three with the two wingers of Odingra and Talby, for me, there just wasn't enough creativity. What changed about this game though, in Enzo Lefay's game compared to when he's normally played in the wing in the Championship, is everything to do with Ronaldo Mandava's movement today. From the start, it was kind of bizarre actually until you wrapped your head around what was happening. From the start, in possession, Ronaldo just bombed forward. He was up there at times in line with Eliza Mayenda for how high up the pitch he was. This meant that Enzo Lefay could move more centrally, and rather than having the trouble of trying to decide who would drop out of the midfield, out of Xhaka, Diarra and Siddiqui, it meant that Enzo just joined the midfield instead. At times when Ronaldo did push up, it meant that Siddiqui ended up covering him at left back. Pretty much for the first 20 minutes, he probably covered him at left back. But as the game went on, we've seen that Xhaka sometimes dropped in between Mukiele and Alderete. Other times, Mukiele and Alderete moved in line and Trey Hume joined them in a 3 or Xhaka joined them and they made a 4. That variation of like who was in defence changed up a lot. But what just made the difference was the fact that Ronaldo was allowed to bomb forward, and it meant that Enzo could join in. And suddenly it meant that Sunderland had Ronaldo, Talby, Mayenda, Habib Diarra and Enzo Lefay all in that front line, pretty much man for man with the Brentford back four and their two sitting midfielders. So it did definitely catch them out off guard, and it allowed us to have more control in that final third. And it meant that we were just putting in ball after ball after ball. I think when you look at this game in comparison to last week, the energy difference in those players and the intensity that we played with, the speed that we moved the ball around with was completely different to how we started against Burnley, and it made the world of difference. When Sunderland played last week, we moved the ball around so slowly that it became so predictable what we're going to do. Every cross that we got into the box, we took sort of so long to get the cross in that Burnley could see exactly what was going to happen. Today we played with that much intensity that we just dragged Brentford from corner to corner on the pitch. And fair play to Brentford, they were everything that you kind of expect them to be, in the sense that they were just rigid in defence and solid and well drilled in their shape off the ball. And that meant that, of course, we were going into the breaks still at 0-0 because Sunderland couldn't quite find clear-cut opportunities. A lot of their opportunities came from just bombing the box. But Brentford, in that sense, were everything you'd expect them to be. I think we're getting to see a lot more. I know this is obviously a Sunderland podcast, but if anyone did watch the Premier League last season and wasn't just watching the Championship for Sunderland's sake, Igor Thiago actually missed a lot of the Premier League season for Brentford last year. He was fantastic for them today. I think he really did cause our defence problems. Obviously got on the score sheet twice with one of them ruled out, but he had a fantastic game. He had a fantastic game for Brentford as well. It just so happened that for the most part, Mukiele and Alderete had him covered. But yeah, I think today, and what I'm most impressed by with Sunderland is, as I said, that intensity, that whole never say die till the end attitude, because it just showed in every single time, every single dead ball, 50-50 duel. Sunderland individually were winning so many of those duels today because the effort and passion and intensity was just there. And it's just such a stark difference from Burnley last week. If that's more of a true test of what Premier League teams will look like, I'm looking forward to this season. Like, yes, Sunderland are not going to win every single game this year. You've seen it today. Someone like Igor Thiago had a few clear-cut opportunities, and especially when you look at, for example, Mukiele not been positionally right for that goal for Brentford that ended up putting them ahead 1-0. We're going to have tough games. Like, these things are going to happen. There's going to be moments like that in the game, or for example, Roofs next time doesn't save the penalty. There's going to be losses in the games in the Premier League, of course there is, but to see us go toe for toe in a real good, exciting end-to-end game against Brentford, that for me is probably our best sign of what's yet to come. It's the game that's probably showed us the most of what the Premier League looks like for Sunderland, and it's a game that showed us the most of realistically how adaptable and smart Regis Labrie is. Yes, he's not a perfect manager. There's plenty of times we could point back that he's not got things quite right or substitutions quite right. Today, that was a Regis Labrie run as much as it was anyone else's, because tactically, he looked at last week, he looked at the start of the season, the players we've got, and adapted it to fix it, to bring the game to Brentford and adapt it to Brentford's game as well. And as I said, that changing that small tweak in tactics with Ronaldo being able to bomb forward like that, allowing Enzo to come inside, the quality of Ronaldo as well, because I love Dennis Cirkin, as was said, like this is never a slight on the lads we've had last year, but when you're stepping up and you're kind of playing that game of signing 11, 12, 13 players, however many we end the window with, you don't know what realistically how they're going to gel in the Premier League. And to see him bring in the quality of player, to see Sunderland bring in the quality of player that he can go, cool, I can now have all these, I can have this many more options now when it comes to being able to tweak my tactics, because I've now got the quality to be able to compete as well. And yeah, like we seen Enzo Lefebvre last year in the wing, it wasn't always his fully effective Enzo when he was on the wing. And Regis Labrie having the quality players now to be able to tweak those tactics, that one small difference has now brought to light Enzo Lefebvre, whilst also keeping those three new starting midfielders in the game. It's just allowed Sunderland to get the best of the players in. And also as well, when it comes to the substitutions later on in the game, so Talby came off and Adingra came on. Adingra looked good on that right hand side. I did not mind that substitution at all. And as Regis has said multiple times in his Sunderland career so far, he fully believes in starting players and finishing players. Like, there's going to be squads that start and there's going to be players who are going to come on. And I think he got that spot on today with being with leaving Adingra as a player to come on. Not only did we have the pace that Adingra's got, the creativity that he's got still to come on off the bench, which is a massive bonus, but it also meant that we could play him on the right and we still had Enzo on the field, and bringing Wilson on as well. Wilson plays differently to Mayenda in that sense, where Mayenda's often going to occupy that space between the two centre halves. Wilson likes to sit or pull into that slight left hand channel, drive the ball in that way. Bringing someone on like Adingra who can then help and complement that. Just the way we're able to change our tactics and change in the way that Regis is just not scared to try either. It's just so different to last year, because we're building a squad now. It's not about just good starting 11s, it's about a squad. And Regis just got that one spot on for me today. When you're looking at your when you're looking at the substitutions he's made, I don't think any Sunderland game so far he's had a better showing out with the playoff final. Like that was all tactics, the way he brought them on at the end, and they managed to get that done. But in terms of Regis, it's been amazing to see his step up to the Premier League along with them, because it's a bold decision. It's a bold decision to bring your wingers on and put them on the other side, and bring on a starting player into a position you know that fans aren't particularly happy with, in terms of Enzo starting on the left. All these things, I think Regis just shows how brave he is, how confident he is with his team as well. And when it comes to talking about people that have been brave and confident in that game against Brentford, there's only one man to talk about: Robin Ruffs. Again, what a performance. Like, I think he's truly shown why the club did decide to step up in goalkeeper. You're looking at a team like Brentford, who are so well known for how good they are at set pieces. They're currently managed by their set piece coach from last year, and the way he's just managed to come out and collect every high ball that went into the area, the way, don't even get me started in this guy's distribution. There's so many times. So, for example, right, in the around about the 20th minute, when Brentford ended up going to counter-attack and score, just before that, the reason that we were even in Brentford's final third in the first place was because Robin Ruffs managed to pass out right to Habib Diarra, who was on the semicircle, took out three Brentford players in one pass, and that was along the ground for Habib to turn round, 2-3 passes, and that was us in and around the Brentford box. And that's just one example of the passes he gave today. The fact that he was able to pass high and low, pick out Enzo every single time, and the ball just stuck to Enzo's foot like glue. You've got to say that. Like, Enzo playing around better players in a better league is showing his qualities as well. But back to Robin Ruffs, the way he was able to just pick out every single player confidently. So we're talking about a guy who can command his box, who's constantly talking to his players, has no problem giving directions, telling them exactly where they need to be, and then is also good with his feet. I mean, that again, you don't want to get too excited about every one of these new players because we're talking about 3 games, but I don't think there's many signings I'm more sure of than Robin Roofs in this team. That he's really is the perfect example of like a modern goalkeeper. He's the perfect example. I'm just astounded by him, to be honest. I think Sunderland, we've had plenty of good goalkeepers in the past, but this feels like a new modern era for Sunderland goalkeepers because he is fantastic. He had a fantastic game, and that I didn't even bother mention the fact that I've just spoke for like what 2 minutes about Robin Ruffs and didn't speak about the fact that he saved a penalty today. Does that not sum it up? He saved a penalty today. I don't even know how I've managed to miss that, but come on, man! Like he is one of the most important upgrades we've made in this squad this year. And in fact, just the fact that our back four in starting positions and backup positions looks as strong as it does, with players hopefully coming in terms of Lachumi. I hope I said his name right there, the boy from Bologna. You know who I'm talking about. But the fact that we're building a squad of like defensive solidity like we are, the fact that Xhaka will often drop in between Michele and Alderete and look pretty confident there as well. Yep. Honestly, that is probably the biggest point of difference between this time last year and then this year. Yes, of course, we've improved in our attacking places, but at the end of the day, it's the boys that have been here since last year that have scored the goals. So, yep, honestly, there's so much to rave about when it comes to a good performance today. Not everything was amazing. It's never going to be. Again, today, really a lot of our chances. I think the whole first half, actually, we didn't have a single shot on goal. I don't think it was until the 70th minute that we managed to get one of our 3 or 4 shots on goal. Shots on target, sorry, should I say. But things like that, you've got to give time to as well. Like, as much as we're talking about how good they've been, this is still a brand new team that is all still gelling as well. And I think a lot of people are maybe getting a little bit ahead of themselves when they're talking about Talby. Fair enough, he might turn out to be everything that everyone might think right now. That, of course, could happen. But when I look at Talby just now, even since the first game of the season, he's starting to connect with the players around him a lot more. He made a few good runs today. I know he had a really frustrating moment when the ball got played through to him. He got all the way to the byline, tried to chop it in rather than just crossing it in hard and low across the face of goal. He tried to chop the ball and then swing it in, and more. He took the ball out of play, and it was a bit frustrating. But I think these runs and the way he's starting to connect with players, especially when he does drift inside a lot more, I think it hopefully will all come together. At the end of the day, these players are all learning each other's movements and positioning and all that still. I think you seen Siddiqui today was a little bit shocked by how much he was covering left back, but it's clear that that was a part of Reduce's plan. I do not think Ronaldo's just decided to go on holiday as a striker, but yeah, like these boys are all still got a lot more left to come in terms of connecting and building those attacking like flows. But right now, we're looking defensively pretty solid. When we come with intensity, then we come with a bit of quality as well. We've got to keep moving this ball as quick as we did against Brentford, and really, you can't ask for much more than what's happened. Of course, as the game progressed, we got to the 78th minute. Brentford scored the goal, crossed the ball in. It came over the top of Michele, who really was caught out of position. He should have known where Igor Thiago was because Trey Hume was already occupied with Shad. So it really was Michele's job to really know where he was there. And at the end, Trey Hume pulled off a Shad and went towards the ball. Maybe could have done a little bit better, but it really was on Michele there to be a little bit more aware of where Igor Thiago was. Brentford then go ahead 1-0. But the stadium tonight is still pumping and the fans stuck with them, and you can see the difference that made today. Sunderland, the boys never dropped their heads after that. It was still all missions a go. Let's get the ball up the field. And 4 minutes later, Brentford make pretty much the same penalty decision as, and then 3-4 minutes later, Brentford player Collins decided to do pretty much the same as what Ronaldo Mandava did in the opposition box and just brought down Habib Diarra. It seemed completely ridiculous that he would even bother doing that after the penalty was just given before. Yes, these penalties are a little bit soft. Well, Ronaldo realistically did give away the penalty. Collins did as well. They're a little bit soft, some people might argue, but at the end of the day, it's just obvious that that's what the game is now. And it's obvious that's what the game now is now if it's just been given as a penalty 4 minutes before. So, yeah, if it comes to penalty time, and as we all know, we've not scored our last 4 penalties before this one. Thank God. Enzo Lefebvre was not one bit phased. He just smashes the ball, cams you like, at the back of the net, goes off to celebrate. So Sunderland been behind for 4 minutes. The game's didn't even play at like 85 minutes in. And when have we started coming in alive in the last few months? The end. All the way to the end with Sunderland these days. And I forgot, I've not even really touched on him yet, but we'll talk about the man that made it all happen in a sense. When Wilson Isidor stepped on this pitch today, he was just electric. He was so just everywhere. The guy, I think it was just the sheer delirium of the last few days of his life that just meant him. He was on rocket fuel, bro. He was everywhere. Wilson Isidor was on rocket fuel today. That is the only way to describe it. He was just everywhere. He came on like a madman, chasing every single ball down. And as we all know, this week he's obviously had his little baby girl. In the post-match interviews, before we talk about the goal, the post-match interviews, did anyone else shed a little tear? Because I just felt so happy for him. But as I said, he was chasing every single ball down. So what happens is so let's get on to this goal. Granit Xhaka, yet again, all over things, keeps the ball playing after a lot of the Brentford players had slowed down, thinking that a foul was going to be given. Plays the ball over the top to Enzo Lefebvre on the wing. Enzo manages to get around his man enough to pass it back to Xhaka. First time cross into the box, and who else is there but Wilson Isidor to put the ball in the back of the net, and honestly just could not be happier for him. There's not really many people who deserve it more than him, and he's just had the class week, hasn't he? 25th birthday, he's had another kid born, and now he gets to score like that. He had a match-winning goal in the dying minutes of the Premier League game. Like, life doesn't get much better, and I think just more than anything with all these players, but Wilson in particular, there's a few of them, but Wilson in particular, they can just tell he loves being here. He loves being at this club now. He loves being at this club, and that in itself, you know, there's many a time today or recently that being in the Premier League, as I've said in these videos as well, it kind of reminds you of your childhood, or it reminds you of better times because all those years ago when we were younger and who we went with and the people you went to the games with, the teams that we played when we were in the Premier League, all this nostalgia comes back to you. But then when I was really thinking about it today, I don't think it's ever been better for me as a 27-year-old Sunderland fan. I don't think life for me has ever been better because we're a few days into the Premier League, a few games into the Premier League season, yes, but when I look at the quality of player we've got on that field, when I look at the connection and the passion to the connection to the fans and the passion that those players come with, and the fact that they're just consuming themselves in every part of the city and the culture. I don't remember a Sunderland team being like that, like in my lifetime that I can watch. Like, people compare it to Roy Keane's days. When Roy Keane was there, I can like that was when I would obviously go, "Oh, Sunderland have won, yay!" But couldn't understand football like I understand football now. I couldn't really feel it all the way I feel it all now because I'm an adult. I don't remember times being better than this because last time we were in the Premier League, it was just about survival and this and that. I look forward to seeing this team in the weekend, and that is the biggest thing that I could ask for from my football club because, let's face it, as Sunderland fans, we've never really supported the team that's fucking winning all the time. So it's these other things that make football so important to us. And seeing players like Wilson Isidor get their chance in the Premier League, take their chances in the Premier League, and just love their time in Sunderland because you'll often hear this narrative, oh, no one wants to go there. Why would Sunderland's a shithole, no one wants to go there, or that's the narrative Newcastle have had a lot this season as well, which true enough, I'm not surprised they don't want to go to Newcastle, but that's a lot of what you get. A lot of Southern fans will say, oh, who wants to go up there? People are proving that Sunderland is the place to be for young footballers. This is a place where you'll be loved, taken care of, and you can enjoy your football in a great city with great people. And it's now this is Sunderland. So yeah, look, I think I've ranted and raved enough about how good that was. I think Regis Libby is in a tactical masterclass in this one, and honestly, wouldn't be surprised to see him up there for nominations to Premier League Manager of the Month. We'll see what happens. If anyone finishes the month on 3 wins, then of course it will probably go to them. But a newly promoted manager getting 2 wins out of his first 3 games, I'll take that. Come on. Well done to the lads. Absolutely smashed it. And what a weekend to be a Sunderland fan. And what a weekend to be a Sunderland fan. I bet we're all just buzzing for it. But honestly, just looking forward to getting this international break done with so we can get back to what's important, the Sunderland. Anyway, guys, check out the southstandclothing.com. We've got, I'll put them all on the screen actually. Here's lots of Southstand products for you to take a look at. We've got all sorts on there. Hats, jumpers, t-shirts, prints, mugs, all things Sunderland related. So go and check out the southstandclothing.com. But for now, I'll catch you in the flip side. How are the lads? Come on.